Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you're doing well out there, and if you guys could subscribe, that'd be great. Appreciate you stopping by. Another day of Kevin Durant watch has gone idly by. I guess it has. I mean, it's 4:30 p.m. Eastern time as I record this. No news. I think there's reports out of Phoenix that there's not going to be news on the day of the NBA Finals as that gets closed out tonight. So maybe we're talking about going into the weekend that we'll finally get some kind of solution after the season officially ends, unless the Pacers can surprise people. But, you know, with the Heat, there hasn't really – it's interesting, man. Like, I think even nationally there's probably been as little news on them as far as anybody, because – people really just kind of dismiss. It's almost like if Kevin Durant goes to the Heat, it's dismissed universally. Like, it's not even one of these things where I think when people talk about the Rockets, I get it. They were the 2 seed. People are looking at them and thinking about the dogfight they were in with the Warriors, and they think, hey, that can put them over the top. I get it. This is not even shit. It's just like, it is what it is. The Wembanyama factor with San Antonio. San Antonio is going to have a lot of interesting pieces. I get that. And then obviously with Minnesota, you're pairing him with Ant-Man, one of the faces of the league. The Heat, they don't have any face of the league right now. They have 2 all-star players, though. It's not like, it's not like Kevin Durant is joining 2 schlubs. I mean, Bam Adebayo, I think a guy that Durant has a ton of respect for. And, Tyler Hero feels like he would be, he would benefit greatly from playing with somebody like KD. But the thing that's also interesting about it is, the Heat, they do play in the East, and whatever you want to say about Kevin Durant going to San Antonio, I don't know what those teams will turn into, but there's as much danger that they get bounced in the first round as to them making the conference finals. Like, the shakeups are so tight there, at least they were this year. From the outset, if you were just to take it, looking at it, from where it was this year, looking at it and projecting, and then you do it on the East side, it's why a team like the Orlando Magic goes for it. Would I trade 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bane? Seems like a lot, but you get it. Like, you got to get to a point where you have a guy like Paolo Banchero and you have your pieces and you've had your core. Like, at some point you got to shake it up and make a swing. And I think for the Heat, there's a little bit of that. Now, this guy he's 10 years older than Desmond Bane, 11 years older than Desmond Bane, but has been to the highest highs. And you have a coach who I do think, Windhorst today said, well, why are the Heat even on the list? He's like, I imagine it's just got to be the city and Pat Riley. I would think that it's probably like the city and Eric Spoelstra and Bam and Ty. Like, I do think that those things, I don't think Kevin Durant looks at those guys and are like, oh, they're bums. Like, I don't want to play with them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on the list. There wouldn't be a desire for him to sign long term, right? Like, it's not even just that if you're on the list, it's not even that he wants to go to you. He wants to go to you. He wants to commit to you. That's what we've heard, and that's what's been reported. But, these other teams sit here, and I do think there's a little bit of question of, is he the guy? Is he not the guy? The one thing that I think the Heat have probably said to Rich Kleiman or to KD or whoever the message has to get to is like, hey man, you're going to be like really appreciated that you're here, right? Like, it's going to be one of those things where everybody who talks all that shit about Kevin Durant and what about, this, what about that? Like, if you're an organization like the Miami Heat that's so thirsty to win and get back, and especially quickly because they want to regroup and rally from the Jimmy Butler thing. Look at LeBron leaving. When LeBron left and the Heat went and got Luol Deng, and Pat Riley was kind of throwing shade. We're saying this is one of the biggest free agent signings of all time because LeBron was a sign and trade. And then the Heat spilled in and tried to get Goran. Unfortunately, the Bosch thing happened hours later, but they really were trying to push their cards. They were giving up multiple first-round picks for Goran Dragic. They didn't even have guaranteed that he was going to sign and come back. They probably had an idea. Wink. But they were so thirsty to get back to the mountaintop. People are sitting here being like, oh, you're playing team again with. I'm like, I think you're nuts. I really do. I think you're nuts if you think that's going to be the case with Miami, bringing in KD, that you're just going to be completely bereft of talent, and you're going to be struggling again. You're going to be blowing all these clutch games, and there's going to be all these fourth quarter collapses that Miami had. I just think he's an elixir to a lot of that stuff. And then I think on top of it, I think that you're going to have a coach in Eric Spoelstra who, again, just really is looking to get this thing as far as possible and is going to have just such appreciation for having Kevin Durant here that I think there's that kind of dials into the attractiveness of why he would want to be here. But there is an element where, look, it is out of the Heat's control. We got to see who has the best option. Today it was described as, because there hasn't been a ton of movement on this, Shams said that it's been described as a game of chicken for the teams there. Basically, the Suns are seemingly sitting there, and they're waiting for anybody to beef up the offer a little bit because they want to recoup whatever they think they're going to recoup. And nobody's really budging on it because they know the situation there is. John Hollinger, who I'm not even like the biggest fan of, but he said today on this, he said, it's a classic Phoenix bleep show. They think they're going to get stronger offers than they're getting, and they really don't know what to do. And I think from this standpoint, they finally probably found some vets from Minnesota that they like, but like Minnesota, Sam Amick went today on FanDuel Sports. He said Minnesota was apparently confused because last year they tried to deal for Durant. Didn't seem like an issue for them. This is what they claim. And now they are trying to deal for him, and he has no interest in going there. Which is interesting. If that is true, there's two things that could be true here. One is the Suns are just lying about that to the Timberwolves, and they didn't reach out to KD's people, which I would think is pretty that would be an irresponsible thing to skip. Like, I think you would want that straight from the horse's mouth, or at least the horse's representation. If you're just taking the Suns' word for it, that's a little weird. But it's either that or you have to wonder, like, if KD and Anthony Edwards, like it was reported that they wanted they wanted Anthony Edwards to go and recruit KD or convince KD, and he's not going to do that according to Mark Spears. One has to wonder, all right, does KD think that Ant-Man is not long for Minnesota? Mind you, if he has an extension and he wants to sign for 3 years, but he knows Anthony Edwards is tired of freezing his ass off with the Timberwolves, and maybe that is what's kind of nuked his option. And he's just like, then I'm not going to go there. So I don't know. But when Windhorst says, like, oh, Miami's only on the list because it's Riley in the city, it's like, that's a little bit of a slap at the Heat's two best guys. And I get it. The Heat are not in any – they're not going to win any beauty pageant with anybody with how the season ended. Okay, they don't deserve to. But we also got to calm down a little bit and gather our heads. This was a season from hell. There's no two ways about it. It was really, really f***ed up what the Miami Heat went through this year. So you give the coach and you give the Heat's two best players a little bit of reprieve. Not a full pass. Okay? I'm not looking to be like the Edmonton Oilers here cranking up the excuse machine. Not a full pass, but a little bit of reprieve on what a circus it was this year. And bringing in somebody who's just all about the basketball, who's a legendary scorer. You want to fix some of Spo's offensive team woes. You bring in somebody like him. People think, oh, it's not going to work. It's too this, it's too that. Dude, come on. Let's be real about it. The Heat had a guy tanking and then a guy in Andrew Wiggins who came here who missed half the games that he was supposed to play. You're working in a new point guard trying to figure him out. You lose your sixth man in Nikola Jovic. The Heat did go through a lot of stuff this year. All right, it did not connote great success. That's why they had the longest losing streak in Eric Spoelstra's head coaching career. There was a point where it could have turned sour and gone to tank mode. We definitely covered that, right? But the schedule got too soft and they couldn't do it. And then there were literally a couple of wins you could be proud of, and the rest of them were bogus. But Bam Adebayo, still a good player. Kel'el Ware, a guy we're all very excited about. Tyler Hero, very, very good player. And you add Kevin Durant to it, and we all think Kevin Durant. Andrew Wiggins, I think Kevin Durant's a better player. To me, it's not rocket science why the Heat would want to add him and why Kevin Durant sees that situation and thinks it could be beneficial to him. Do the Heat get to a point where they absolutely give up one of their young bigs? And a lot of people seem to think like, hey, this is even the Heat holding firm on not giving up Jovic, not giving up Ware. And I think in some ways that's encouraging because, man, I think both of those kids have really, really bright futures. If push came to shove, if I had to give up one of them, would I? It pains me. I think I would, but I've said, like, that's the draft capital for me. Like, don't come knocking for another pick. Like, it's 20, the salary, one of those young guys, and that's it. Or, do not ask me for another pick. Do not ask me for any more flexibility. Do not ask me for 2 picks. Do not ask me for 3 picks. Do not ask me for swaps. But I think the Heat feel like they don't have to. I think if one of those guys was on the table, the deal would be done. But I don't think the Heat want to. I don't think the Heat want to give that up. I think the Heat know Kel'el Ware is critical to them, and I think they know Jovic has a bright future ahead of him. And that's where this is at right now. If they end up striking out, Heat fans are going to be pissed for sure. And you got to know what their plan B is going to be. But you also don't want to bid against yourself. And look, it's not like the Heat currently are wrong here because Kevin Durant hasn't been traded yet. So this waiting game that everybody's just kind of sitting in really, really, really getting bored of, it's just going to be tough to know like what's going to be the domino that really gets this to fall and gets Phoenix to jump. Is there going to be something that makes the Heat a little bit more antsy? Because I think they probably, from their start, I'm sure they know Spo's opinion, I'm sure they know Bam's opinion, I'm sure they know Tyler's opinion on all this. So, right now, it does feel like a little bit of a slow pattern on, hey, everybody come with your final offer, and maybe we'll get a decision by the weekend.